We are back, and I want to take this video to just kind of complain about some of the stuff that the NFL has done to their game in the past couple of years. I hope the person doing yard work a couple houses down isn't too distracting, but whatever. So basically, this is kind of empty complaints because I'm still going to watch their product. I'm going to watch the NFL team that I like. I'm going to watch, the playoffs and some of the night games or whatever. But I think that some of the things that the NFL has done the last couple of years has made the game less and less enjoyable to watch. And if they keep making these kind of changes, then maybe I'm not as invested in the NFL as a whole in, the next 5 years or so. And I'm going to start with the 17-game regular season schedule, which looks, with the CBA, it looks more and more like they're going to try to push it to 18 sometime in the future. I think the main issue with this is that the more games you add to the regular season, the less that each game matters. We already saw with the 16-game schedule where at the end of the season, if somebody had a playoff spot locked up or something, then they would start their second string guys and they would, basically, have their starters take the game off before the playoffs. We're going to see that. We're going to see even more of that because the teams are going to start locking up playoff spots earlier in the season, and we might see even a team get 2 games of just playing their backups instead of their starters, which leads to less enjoyable regular season games heading into the playoffs. And speaking of the playoffs, I think adding the 7 seed to the wild card has been a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. It's already happened for 2 seasons, and 3 out of the 4 teams that made that 7 seed have been objectively terrible. Last year, there were the Steelers and the Eagles that had no business being in the playoffs. I think they were routed by each of their opponents in the wild card round. The Colts with Phillip Rivers have been the only good team to get a 7 seed so far, and I think that's going to generally be the exception and not the norm. We already see some of the 6 seeds not being all that great, and I think the more this goes on, the more the 2 versus 7 matchup is going to be kind of the worst matchup of the playoffs. And that Bears Saints game I think was a 7-2 matchup, and that was a horrible game. They put that on Nickelodeon for kids to watch. What a travesty! Next time, put like the Titanic disaster on Nickelodeon next time, why don't you? I mean, holy cow! And I think in general as a philosophy, I would like the playoffs to be harder to get into, not easier. I thought the 6-team per conference rule was fine. Excuse me. I thought it was fine. I think that the NFL was kind of special in like how they didn't let half of the league be in the playoffs like some of these other sports leagues do. And the NFL, it's still technically 14 out of 32, which isn't quite half. But they seem like they're inching up to where it's going to be 8 teams per conference making it, which I think would make the playoffs even it would make it worse and not better. Speaking of making things worse and not better, the NFL's emphasis on the taunting penalty last year was one of the worst things to watch, in my opinion, last year, where it absolutely killed the Steelers-Bears game on Monday night, I believe, last season. And it's something that really nobody was asking for. Like, there wasn't a big fan uproar of, we have to get taunting out of the game. There was one owner that made this quote, and if it was one owner, it was probably more of the owners than we realized. It wasn't just Mora or whatever, whoever owns the Giants. It was probably even more of the owners who want this move. But fans kind of like that stuff. They like a little bit of dislike and some nastiness on the field. Not outright violence, of course, but just some some trash talk between 2 teams that are on the field in a highly competitive situation. That's something that fans like. That's something that we clamor for. At least I do. I kind of like when teams kind of get up in each other's faces and jaw back and forth at each other. I think that's fun to watch. That's good entertainment. And that's what the NFL is. It's entertainment. And if somebody gets a little too emotional and the ref decides to throw a flag after a big play or something, I don't find that entertaining. I find that the NFL is punishing players for being entertaining, and I don't think that's good. And if that's something that they're going to keep, that they're going to stick around for the foreseeable future, then I'm gonna be nervous after a player shows any reaction to a big play they just did or anything like that. And another penalty that they're going to reportedly focus on this season is illegal contact. I mean, the offense is already extremely favored in terms of what you can and can't do. It's never been harder to play defense without getting flagged in the first place. And now you're introducing this focus on illegal contact, which can be, as vague as the defensive back, touch the receiver in the wrong way. Clip that, by the way. And, I think it would be even worse because I know the idea is that, fans like high-scoring games better. Defensive struggles are boring, and high-flying offense is what, fans want to watch by and large. But, offense, actual offense, is exciting to watch, where the offense comes in with a great game plan and catches the defense off guard. That's fun. But the ref throwing a flag, so the offense can get 50 penalty yards on a drive, and then it ends in a touchdown. That's not fun. That's just watching. That's just watching rules, the tough, like overly strict rules being enforced, and the offense gets rewarded by those rules. It's artificial offense, and that's not exciting for me to watch. It's not fun. I can respect a good defensive struggle if both of the defenses are, just tearing it up and the offenses have no answer for it. Just like I can respect a high-flying offensive game if they have a great game plan against the defenses. But when the referees get involved, it's like, hey, you might have held on to receiver's jersey a little bit too long, or you might have, shoved a guy a bit too hard at the line of scrimmage, and that's what gets the offense all of their yardage and most of their points. I don't find that fun to watch at all. And again, I think each individual one of these things isn't too terrible by themselves, but when you add these things, it creates a football game that's much worse for me, for somebody like me who doesn't like really any of the change that the NFL has made to their game the past couple of seasons, where down the road I might think, what, if the Browns aren't involved in this football game, I don't really know if I want to watch this anymore. I'll watch the big ones, obviously, like if there's a big divisional matchup or some of the playoffs games. But if I see a 2-7 matchup and it's a blowout by halftime, and I know that this 7 seed has no shot of coming back, I might just turn it off at halftime and just wait for the next game or wait for the next day or whatever. And because these games are getting less and less enjoyable for me anyway. Maybe you have a different opinion, and you like that taunting is going to be emphasized, or illegal contact, or you like that there's more games to play on. I know it's monetarily beneficial to the NFL. I get why they do it. They probably make more money off of advertising. They probably get a better deal for these stations to have more NFL games on. But I feel like they just lower the enjoyment value of these games down because they're less meaningful than they were before. If you watch this video to the end, thank you very much for sticking around. If you like this video and like to see more like it, please feel free to leave a like and a subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about what the NFL is doing with some of their rule changes as of late. Thank you all again for watching, and I will see you at the next one.